There it is. I'll thank you, sponsors. It plays for about a minute or so. There'll be some people jump on here pretty quick. So they're sitting on go, Pat. All right, that's it, man. Let me get that off of here, Patrick. There we go. As y'all can tell, that's a little prettier image than Eric Cagle.
Obviously, yeah.
That's Mr. Patrick Stone, Mr. Grenada Tackle Company himself. I appreciate him coming on. John had to deliver a boat, which he thought he was going to have to tomorrow. Then Eric was going to come on, and then he had some stuff. He had some clients come in. He had to go out to eat with them, and Patrick said he would come on here. I said, man, that's great. I'll get Patrick Stone on here. Hey, that works great.
Yeah, I'm a little better looking than Cagle, and I mean, I'm maybe a little better at fishing, but other than that, we're about the same.
That's exactly right. Patrick's he's in the same circle of friends. He guides over in Grenada and Mississippi and all over there. So he's going to kind of give us an insight. A lot of people have, want to go over there and they hadn't been over there and they've been talking about it. And, you can kind of go over what you're seeing because it's a great summer fishery and we can kind of go into that. And so you've lived there your whole life, right, Pat?
I have. I was born in Selma, Alabama. Thus the Alabama hat always.
Right.
But I was raised here. I've been here forever.
That's right.
Fished here forever.
That's good stuff. Oh, Melvin Sasser's on here. You know Melvin.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's tuned in, like I said. Uncle Mel. That's right. So I guess we can talk about how many fish you guys are seeing and how healthy they are and the number of fish. And I mean, how fast did you get your limit this morning? I mean, I tried to keep up with it.
Man, these lakes have always kind of cycled, with numbers and big fish. And right now, I mean, I think we're cycling on a uptrend as far as the numbers. We're seeing more fish this year than we did last year, and they're super healthy. A lot of times in the summer you get those what I call ridge backs, where their backs aren't rounded. But this year, man, they're healthy. They're a lot thicker than they are some summers. So I'm pretty optimistic. We're catching a lot of solid, 13 to 14 and a half inch fish. And then you mix a big one in every once in a while, and you mix some small ones in some days. Like yesterday, I don't think we caught a throwback, which they got to be over 12 inches to keep.
Right.
And today we probably caught 15. Same spot, doing the same thing. They just move in and move out.
Yeah, that's so y'all are live scoping these. I guess you don't do too much trolling, or somebody was talking about pulling crankbaits. You don't do a whole lot of that no more, do you?
I think I lost you there for a minute.
You don't do a whole lot of trolling or pulling cranks anymore. It's just mostly casting these fish a lot now, Pat.
Yeah, in summertime it's all casting. I don't do any trolling trips anymore. It's just, and I love it. I did it for years and years before live scope. I was full-time guiding every day before live scope, but it's just too much to re-rig the boat for a day. Somebody wants to go spider rigging, and you got to put all your rod holders in, put your poles and minnows and all that stuff, and then take it back out for the next day. And
Right.
A couple of years ago, I just quit doing it. I just live scope now. But I mean, if something like I told somebody, if somebody wanted to book a week and come do it, I'm all in. But
there you go. Well, like you said, hooking all that up. So hey, it's a lot of trouble. It's not
right. Yeah,
bolting them in and tightening them up. Make sure you got all your stuff. And
yeah, that's right.
so most of y'all are limited out in a couple of hours in the mornings here lately. It seems
Yeah,
like.
yeah, a lot of mornings. It's just weird. Some days, the fish are up feeding good, and other days they're a little bit slower. Last week I was done 8:30 one day, and the next day it was 11:30. So
Yeah.
same fish or whatever. They just bit better one day than they did the other. I had a couple of young men with me today, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Oh, that's fun.
We got done about 10:30. And
That's pretty good.
they learned a lot and caught them some fish. So it was it's a lot of fun. But
That's
I definitely think we're seeing at least as many fish as we ever have. Keeper fish. I don't know. With these new limits, I guess we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. Maybe some more of them will stay in there and get big.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that. Of course, we're not going to go into too much detail with that, but there's a lot of fish that go down that spillway, aren't there, Patrick?
Yeah, and I tell people bring that up in that conversation, and to me that's the constant, not the variable.
Gotcha.
They've been doing it since the 50s and 60s. Every year forever they suck fish out of the spillway. So to me that's not an issue worth talking about. There's really nothing that's going to change on that, and they've been doing it. So the variable is the fishing pressure, the spawns, and the lack of cover for them. Our cover is going away quick.
Yeah, y'all do. While you're speaking of that, Pat, y'all do that with the Corps engineers. You can talk a little bit about that build y'all do, because it's gotten bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it really has. We do it the first Saturday of December every year, a habitat day, which they've got the lake drawn down by then, and we get out there on 4-wheelers and side by sides and build stake beds, build brush tops, and all that's good, but all these hardwood stumps that are just going away quick. With stumps that stay underwater stay there a long time, but stumps that get dry every winter, they rot. So
never thought about that, because you're right. Never even thought about that aspect of it.
Our cedar and cypress and stuff, they're all still holding pretty firm, but in the last 10 or 15 years, it's noticeable the cover in the lake going away. So I think that makes it even more important to go build man-made stuff every year, and not just one day a year either. We get out there, and when they start drawing it down and put stuff at different water levels with boats and trucks and 4-wheelers and whatever.
Oh yeah, see, you load your little boat up and y'all stack it up with timber, and y'all. And the good thing, and you and Jameson and Eric and TJ and all y'all know, just like y'all had those tournaments, and I got my Crappie Forever shirt on, and all the tagging programs, all the stuff y'all do, just to take care of the fish. I mean, it's somewhere where you make a living, of course, but you also care about the fishery. So
yeah, and I tell people, we get a lot of people, oh, you're taking too many fish or whatever. We give back a lot too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes.
We try to throw all those big ones back. We caught a Crappie Forever tag today. I tagged it April the 1st, and Winford, the 9-year-old, he caught it today, and we let that fish go again. It was 15 1/4 inches long. Last year, the fish weighed 227 in April, so that's your 2.5 pounder for next year.
Right.
Maybe 260 if it's full of shad or whatever. If you catch it pre-spawn. So I mean, that's a trophy for anybody. I mean, we catch them bigger, but I mean, you catch one over 250. I mean, that's a big one to me.
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, even you coming from Mississippi, but I mean, you were tagging fish before the forever stuff started. I know because
Yeah, I tagged about 1,500 of them on my own, and I still got some of those being called in too. I think I'm probably on the back end of getting mine because those tags eventually work out. Just like if you get a thorn in your leg, it'll
right.
eventually work itself out. But I think we're on the tail end of seeing mine. It's been like a couple of years since I tagged any of any significance. Maybe one here and there, but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I kind of got in with Gabe and Daniel with Crappie Forever, and kind of started that tagging program where we tag anything over 2 pounds or 15 inches.
Okay.
So we got here in the spring, a lot of those 14 and a half, 14 and 3/4 inch fish will weigh 2 pounds. So we kind of try to protect them as the best we can. We keep very few fish over 2 pounds.
Yeah, I know people don't realize, like, when you see the picture of the table full, most of those fish are pound 30, 40, 60.
Yeah.
They're all right there in great eating size, and that's
From
eater size over there.
12 and a quarter to 14 and a half inches. That's mainly what we're keeping. I mean, if we gill hook one we know is going to die, a big one, of course. I mean, we're not going to throw it back and just let it die.
Right.
But I think on my boat we kept 4 or 5 all year that was over 2 pounds. So
Yeah, I mean, y'all
that's
are.
what we try to do, and like you say, I mean, build cover and just do what we can. Now, don't get me wrong, we take a lot of them out of there too.
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah. Well, that it's
there's
a
a lot
resource.
of them to be taken. So
That's right. I mean, how many fish you see on an average good morning, Pat? Just off the top of your head, like, this morning was a good morning. I mean, how many fish are you seeing?
I probably saw, and I'm guessing, Shane, because I
Yeah,
had never tried to
yeah,
count
yeah.
it.
Right.
I probably saw 150
See,
keepers.
that's pretty
You
good.
know, with those young men, we missed a bunch and
Oh yeah, yeah. I
let
understand.
it get below a bunch of them and all that. We probably, I'm gonna say we saw 150. And not all of them are catchable. Some of them
Right.
are running 5 miles an hour when they come by, and you don't even try. And some of them are sitting on the bottom and
Oh
swimming.
yeah.
And, you just find one that's a little easier to catch, but. That would be that's a plain guess. It may have been
Oh yeah,
100,
yeah. I
may have
understand.
been 200, but it was. I'm gonna say it was somewhere in that range.
That's still a lot of fish though, because to catch y'all's limit that fast, you have to come across some fish, pretty
Yeah,
quickly. I mean,
yeah. Some
that's what.
days I don't know. Again, I think these fish sit on the bottom a lot.
Yeah.
Some days you go out there and you're like, where are they? I can't even
Mm-hmm.
find one, and then the a couple Saturdays ago, I mean, it was like I couldn't find. I was jumping around the lake, I couldn't find a batch of fish that was up feeding. And it was like 11, and we had like 10 fish, and the sun popped out. Hey, they was everywhere, and
Like popcorn. That's
you
crazy.
know, at 1 o'clock we were done, and everybody's happy, high fiving because it was. I mean, it was fish everywhere. But
That's
I
so
think those fish
crazy.
sit on the bottom, and
Oh
so
yeah.
some days you're gonna see a lot of fish, and some days you just, it's gonna be a little tougher. You just gotta move fast and keep moving until you run into some.
Yeah. Well,
So,
y'all pick those fish up, pretty quick. You see, spend so much time on the water, and y'all been chasing them fish really since Live Scope come out. So,
yeah. And I
y'all.
think I think that's a part of the reason that they spend that time on the bottom. I don't think we noticed that as much, say, in 19 and 20. They
Mm-hmm.
were they were suspended a lot more and sitting still. They don't sit still anymore.
They're like a rabbit. They're ready to go.
You got on the days where I think they want to sit still, you point that live scope at them. You got about 6 to 8 seconds when you
Oh
point
yeah.
at them, and they don't all run hard, they just turn around and swim away. They know it's, they think it's danger, which it is, and
That's right.
and they're definitely educating themselves, and they know what a live scope is for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. I was going to ask you. I think you take a fish that's grown up there that gets 3 pounds. I mean, how many live scopes do you think have been pointed at that fish?
There's no telling. I mean, how many times has it been caught now that we're catching and
Well,
releasing?
I mean, I've seen instances where y'all's tag fish are getting caught 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, in a spring. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I mean, that fish that we let go today, I personally caught it twice. In my boat, caught it twice this year.
That's
So,
true.
I mean, I don't know. It's yeah, they definitely getting educated, and that's why you see in the spring, we had more fish this year than last year, and more last year than the year before. That, I mean, you put a jig right on his nose, and he won't even sniff it.
Oh
I mean,
gosh, yeah.
and it's pretty frustrating, but at the same time, I mean, why,
That's right.
especially
Yeah. You're
these
exactly right.
tournaments come in and those guys are pre-fishing, they're letting all their fish go, and man, you can just tell how some of them act. You fish for it for just a second, you say, man, that thing's already been caught this week, let's move on and find us another one. I mean, it's pretty obvious on some of them.
But that environment that you're blessed to live on just grows fish. It's so, because I hear people talking about changing the limit in Alabama here and there, but it's not the same environment. And that you got to realize, I was talking to Eric. It's kind of like hunting in Iowa and then hunting in Alabama. It's a total different environment, soil, and
Yeah, they just grow faster. A lot of misconception on size limits. It's my understanding what they try to do with a size limit is allow a fish to get 2 years old.
Okay.
So in Alabama it's 9 inches. So they think a 9-inch fish is a 2-year old.
Okay.
So they protect it till it's 2. That way they spawn the first time when they're 2 years old. So every fish gets to spawn is the idea with a
Okay.
size limit. It's not to necessarily grow trophies. It's to keep the population up. So ours, they did some studies on it, and they think those 11 and a half inch fish that are 2 years old that are spawning the first time, if you had a 10-inch rule like we did for years and years, they're never getting to spawn if you catch them first. So
because they're growing so fast, right?
they're growing so fast that a 10-inch is not 2 years old yet. So
I got you. I never knew this tip, but that makes a lot of sense. So that makes a lot of sense.
And that's my understanding. I am far from a biologist, but that's my understanding on a size limit. Is I hear a lot of people in different states and different lakes or whatever. Man, I wish we had a 12-inch size limit. We could have fish like Grenada. I mean, maybe, but it's not. That's the 12-inch rule is not why we have big fish. We had big fish way before we had 12-inch size limits.
Right. So. Oh yeah, the environment. Like, say for instance, if y'all get a ton of rain in the spring when that lake's filling up, and you can't get to them unless wading, and they get to spawn, if you get a month or 6 weeks, it protects those fish. And man,
I think it does two things, Shane. I think it protects the big fish that are spawning from us catching them because they're not where we can get to them, and I think it gives those fry a chance to survive. If they spawn, they'll spawn anywhere. I mean,
they don't care as long as they get their eggs. All right, that's
wherever, whenever. They don't have to have cover to spawn, but when that fry hatches out and he's in the wide open, and you got gar and catfish and white bass and crappie.
Oh yeah,
largemouth and everything will eat a baby crappie. But if they're up in those bushes, up in the woods, up in the ironwoods, I just think they live they live better. These fish that we're catching right now, that was from those high water years. We just got an abundance of them to where, you catch a couple of low water years and you have one of those downswings on that cycle. So, and it's the same thing with the, the big ones. The more fry that survive, for that first year to where they're, that there's some I'm sure that get eat when they're 6, 8 inches long, but not many.
Right.
Once they get that big, if you've got a huge class of, 1, 2 year olds, well, in 4 years, you're going to have a huge class of 2.5, 3 pounders, and I think that's what happened in 2022. Everybody talks about, oh, well, live scope wiped the big fish out. Well, I think we're comparing it to the best year that's ever been. It's kind
right.
of
That cycle, like you said. Yeah.
I told somebody the other day, you don't compare your rainfall to the 1927 flood. So I don't know why you'd compare how many big fish you're catching right now to the best year that's ever been. So
right. Well, like you said, there's so many factors in there that fish management, like you're doing. That's the one thing you can control is what you guys are doing, tagging the fish, trying to let them go, keeping fish to eat, managing everything. And then, but the rain, the Mother Nature and the good Lord controls the rest of that stuff. So,
yeah. If we could have, if the lake was at summer pool or higher every year, 1st of March, I don't think we'd ever have any kind of problem with big ones or just keeper fish.
right.
But I mean, that's just luck of the draw. Some years it's there by January, and this year it was late April before it got there. So,
right.
So
what is full pool? I know you say they draw it down to 193 in the fall. What is
summer pool's 215.
Okay.
Really anything there or above, kind of puts it in those bushes pretty good for them to spawn on. Obviously, the higher it gets, the more cover they have.
Right. It gets way up in the butt brush. It gets all up in everything. So
cotton fields and soybean fields and everything else. I fished all of them back, 2019 when it was super high.
I remember that.
Fishing by people's deer stands and everything else.
That's funny catching by ladder stand on vine. I know I've seen videos of people where the vines come in the water just catching the dog out of some big fish,
Yeah.
Well, that's another factor. It don't really, but it keeps the numbers from getting caught. Like the big push when the water's not high. So
yeah, sure. And I mean, there's still fish out there you can catch outside the bushes, but they're a lot harder than when all of them are out there in the wide open for the picking.
Right.
So
most of these fish now you're catching this in August. Do you think the peak summer fishing is like right now, right this in August? Do you think that's when it is?
Yeah, I mean we catch them, we catch them year round, but
oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
the peak summer. I like July, August, September. Hotter the better for me. I don't like the cold.
Somebody was asking. Scott was asking, do you take trips on Saturdays when the tide is playing?
Yeah, I still do, but just fair warning: if it's a morning game and we fish late, we're going to be listening to it.
There you go. Hey, he's a big. Hey, he keeps an Alabama hat on for sure.
Yeah,
that's funny. So you're running. I guess you're booked up. I know. I see you post on Patrick Stone Fishing on your Facebook page. You won't have the openings you guys have. It don't stay long. I mean, you said.
Yeah, no, they usually fill pretty quick. I got a couple of days that just canceled in August. I got some September and October stuff still open, which is still good fishing.
Oh yeah,
and I fish all winter.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's a lot slower then because can't fish Grenada. We have to fish some of these other lakes or whatever, but it's some of the best fishing of the year. It just not a lot of people want to go brave the cold, and people are hunting and stuff like that. And
Right.
You know,
I know
I
you've had several YouTube videos, man, where you were on,
straight whacking them. Yes, sir.
I mean, I remember seeing one where the wind was blowing, and I don't know what. It don't matter what lake he was on, but
I was at Sardis. I don't mind.
man, you can go on his YouTube channel, guys. I'm talking about he is beating these fish to death. I mean, and he's catching a bunch of big fish. I mean,
I can't remember exactly. I caught like 13 in 9 minutes, unedited. You know, just a straight.
Yeah, I mean, it's on his YouTube channel, guys. He posted on someone's Facebook, but hey, he's got a long rod dropping it in their face, and he is just beating on them. I mean, it was just, but the wind is howling. It's white capping, and
and you know, I got several questions on that video. It was a couple winters ago, but
yeah,
the only way you get good at live scoping in the wind is to live scope in the wind.
Amen to that. That's exactly right.
That's the only. There's no. I told somebody the other day on fishing in general. It didn't matter if back when we were spider rigging or pulling crankbaits or live scoping. There is no substitution for attendance. You got to be there if you're gonna be good at it. It ain't something you can do once a month and expect to come out there and do it as good as the guys that do it every day. I mean,
that's right. Well, that's like anybody that does a craft, welding or anything, it's the same way with you guys. But bait presentation's huge. Even right now, I know for those kids, you get them lined up and hey, you can coach them right through it as long as they don't let the bait fall below the fish. And if that fish is hot, he's going to eat it. So
it's you still got to get it close though, and you got to, and the bait's got to do the right thing when it gets there. If it, just simple stuff. I mean, if you stop reeling while he's following it, he's not going to bite it.
It's so crazy when you cut that switch off on him, Pat. I mean, that fish turns up and he's facing up and you flatten him out. That's it.
It's over.
I mean, he knows something wrong. You ain't gonna
catch him on the next cast either. You move on.
No, he done shut it off. He's had enough. So,
but yeah, I mean, it's all, and that's just stuff you learn through the years, and of course we all talk, and if I figure something out or Cagle figure something out, something that's working on a given day, a week, a month, a year, or whatever, we talk about it. So, and that goes for everything from presentations to baits to anything. So
you still throwing a lot of 3-inch baits over there, Pat?
I do. In the summer, I tone it down just a little bit, just because I think those shad are smaller. What we're seeing in the fish are smaller shad. I still like those 3-inch, red grass baits, but I sometimes cut about a 1/2 inch off the head of them and just make them a little shorter. But I use a lot of 2-inch baits too in the summer. Yeah, in the spring, I'm pretty much straight 3-inch, unless they just are really finicky and I have to downsize to get a bite. But I think, especially in the spring when it's really muddy, I think they can see that big bait better.
Oh, yeah, the profile and the vibes. Yeah. Are you throwing an 1/8, a quarter? What are you throwing this time of year on these fish?
I keep 3 rods in my little stand-up holder. I got an 1/8, a 3/16, and a quarter.
There you go.
So if the fish is really shallow, I may reach back and get that 1/8 ounce, like 4, 5, 6 feet in the morning. And then, if they go to get down there 16, 18 feet deep, I'll be balling them with a quarter. So I try to go as light as I can, just because I feel like you catch more bites with a lighter jig.
Right.
Can't get it in front of him, you ain't gonna get bit. So,
so you're still making the minnow heads? You still making those baits?
Yeah, still got the minnow heads. We use mostly football heads over here just because I do like those bigger hooks and these big plastics. But mostly football heads is what I use. Now I do like that 1/8 ounce on a 2-inch bait, the 1/8 ounce minnow head.
Yeah, I've got a whole bag full of my order when you first offered those. Worked great, got real good hooks in them. Grenada Tackle Company. If you're over in Mississippi, you're gonna run into them everywhere. So
right, we need to get it way everywhere, but we ain't there yet.
Yeah, they're but you're not using any. Scott Seals is asking, you're not using any weight above that jig. Are you?
No, not casting. No
Not
weight
casting.
above
What
it.
you do when
No.
you're in the long rod and stuff? I
On
know.
a long rod situation, yeah, I'll always have either a half or 1 ounce above it, just to help, not necessarily help get it down there, but to help moving it laterally. You need to move it 3 feet to the left. You just move it on 3 feet to the left, and it gets there a lot quicker.
Yeah, you watch that video that we were talking about. You'll see him. He's got, I think, 30-pound braid on that rod, don't you?
I use 40-pound braid.
40. He got braid, a big weight, and he's got an 1/8 ounce jig, and he's on them fish, but he is hitting them.
Yeah.
I remember that video when it came out.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty. Like I say, it's great fishing here in the winter. It's just we just don't have a whole lot of people wanting to go, which that's our kind of our break. We work 6 days a week the rest of the year, so we 2, 3, 4 days a week is fine with me in the winter. But I would take more if they wanted to go. So
yeah, well, we need to kind of share it because a lot of people, they got baseball going on right now and all this stuff and football and and a lot of people don't have time and get busy. So we'll try to see if we can ramp some up. But I know you got a pretty good bit. I know Eric stays over till when? He stays over to October, doesn't he?
No, he's going to leave in September. I think the 9th or 10th or something of September will be his last trips over here, and then he'll go home and start back guiding at home.
Yeah, that's right.
He usually spends 3 weeks or a month in the spring here, doing trophy trips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know you and TJ.
I told him one time I wasn't sure how smart he was when he was at home catching 60 or 70 or 80 every morning by 8:30 or 9, and then he comes over here to get some of this. It's a little tougher.
He does a great job over here. Hey, he does a great job over here beating on them, no doubt. So
yeah, he's as good as they get anywhere he goes.
That's right. Y'all, I know y'all been carrying some groups out. You and Eric and TJ, y'all been carrying some big groups out.
Yeah, we had a group of 8 guys, I guess last week or so, and Jameson helped us with them. And
yeah, Jameson,
TJ and Cagle, and we all, caught the limit every day, and they had a big time. Those guys, a couple of those guys have been coming for. I think we were talking about it. I think either since 2016 or 17 and fishing with me. So,
man,
it's like family, I mean, we know each other, we know each other's families, and it's always fun to see those guys come back year after year and have fun and be successful.
Oh sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, and then people don't realize the fish count is where it's at. I mean, it's
oh yeah.
I've experienced it a few times, and the people don't understand the cooking and the talking and sitting around, and that is that's the most fun part for me.
Yeah, you'll hear a bunch of stories over there, and some of them are even true.
It's I've been blessed to be there and been amongst all of it, so that's good. So you're running trips, I guess. Patrick Stone Fishing, guys, on Facebook. You can follow him on there, and maybe you can hit him up and get you a trip, because I know you said you got some in August. You said September. You said you got some.
Yeah, I got a couple of openings in August. I'm gonna take a week off.
He froze up on us for a second there. Hopefully we didn't. There you go. You come back. You gonna take a week off, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm gonna take I guess a week off starting next Wednesday and go on vacation. But
there you go.
Then come back, and I'll be wide open until I guess November. But I do have a couple of days in August open, and I got several days in September and October that are still really good fishing, still casting like we do in the summer type stuff. About November we have to break that long rod back out when they slow down a little bit and it gets kind of muddy when they draw the lakes down. Wind muddies these lakes up as bad as anything does. When
people don't understand, if you've never been over there, that place gets crazy when the wind blows.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, it don't take much either.
It's wide, guys. I mean, that thing is real wide at the damn end of it. It gets crazy.
I get jealous every time I go somewhere that's got big bluff walls that you can get away from some of that wind.
Yeah. Oh, I remember this story. Tommy, one of my buddies, said he wants you to tell a story when you first met Eric. That's a pretty good story.
What's that?
When you first met Eric, when you first met him, I think you met him on the lake, didn't you, over there?
I'm gonna be honest. I can't remember the first time I actually met him.
I can't remember the story either.
He came over and started. He fished a tournament or two, and I probably met him then because we were probably fishing against him, and then he came over. I can't remember what year, 19 maybe or 20, when he started guiding over here in the summer, and that's when I really got to know him and
Right.
got buddies with him.
Yeah, y'all been tight ever since. That's a tight circle y'all got over there for sure.
Yeah, it really is, and it's good because we all try to help each other, and not a lot of of course we're pretty ruthless on our private group text. We don't cut anybody any slack, but
exactly.
But as far as when it comes down to it, we're you set the egos aside and you just try to help each other.
Yeah, that's just like I was telling John had to go deliver a boat, and then Eric was going to come on, and I text Eric, and this is all went down at 6 o'clock, guys.
Yeah,
and that's how good these guys are. And Eric called Patrick, and Patrick said, "Yeah, man, I can come on there." And this all went down at 6 o'clock, an hour and a half ago. So
he called and he said, "Hey, I got a favor to ask." I said, "What you got?" He said, "I was supposed to be on this podcast, and I got to go meet some clients." I said, "Man, I'll do it. It ain't no problem."
I appreciate you coming on, because a lot of people, they don't really hear the aspects of fishing on Grenada and what how it goes, and a lot of people see your name pop up and they never put a name with a face, and never heard you really, unless they follow your page. It's kind of when you get on these things, people act like they kind of know you a little bit. So
yeah, we like I say, we're just kind of in our same little corner over here, and we do the same thing year in, year out. But been doing it a long time. But
how long you been guiding, Pat? You've been guiding a long time.
I ran my first guide trip in 2003 when I was in college. Had no business guiding back then. But opportunities, and you take them. Now I hadn't guided full time since then. Obviously, I started guiding full time in 17. But the last few years of my part time, I was running 60 or 80 trips every day. I had a vacation. Every day I was off, weekends and holidays and everything else. And it finally got to a point where I was like, man, I can, I think I can stay busy. I'm gonna do it. So I'm happy I did, because
you did. That's a great decision. I mean, you still. What did you buy your Ranger boat new?
No, I bought it. It's a 2001 model. I bought it in 2010.
I knew. How many motors you've had on the back of that thing?
3 motors, and one of them 2 power heads on.
There you go.
That old Mercury that came on it, I blew it up and rebuilt it and blew it up again. And I put a Yamaha on it, and I cracked the head on it last year. And rather than fix it, I just went ahead and bought another one. So
yeah, that's a fine boat. John just got him one. That's why I was bringing it up. You've been running that boat in Grenada and some rough water. You've had that.
Listen, I've had that thing everywhere from the Mississippi River oxbows to the Red River to Lake Fork. Just beat it and bang it, and it's just like, I don't know how it can stand some of these waves that we put them in. People don't understand how rough waves are on a boat. You take some boats. We used to crack those aluminum boats all the time.
Oh yeah, they're not heavy gauge. Yeah, you're right.
So it takes a beating, and just keeps. It ain't pretty. It ain't ain't clean most of the time. But
no, he's got Milwaukee boxes stacked up on it, and
It's a work boat, and it works on them too. So.
Yeah, it does. I know it does, man. You know, a lot of people's following suit from y'all. There's so many of them. And Brandon Threadgill's on there. I appreciate Brandon. He just got him one set up. And there's a lot of people. John got him a 521 set up. A lot of people's going that route because, you know, even talking to Eric, you know, he had that custom boat built and all that stuff. And he got in, I think he got in Jameson's or something. And he noticed that thing just sticking to the water. And he was like,
there's absolutely nothing that fishes like an old Ranger does. I've been in a bunch of different boats. That Gator Tracks that Cagle had is probably a close match as I've seen. It rode really well in rough water as far as running. Probably better than a Ranger, but as far as fishing in rough water or in the wind, an old Ranger, man, it just sits deeper in the water and don't blow around as bad, and it's legit. You know, you hear a lot of stuff that's hype, and this one's not hype. I bought mine, you know, for spider rigging because it was long and heavy, and you get there in those waves, and your rod's not bounce as much. But everybody's figured out you don't blow around as much when you're trying to cast a one or you're trying to get a long rod on one. You know, just the same. The less your boat moves, that's one less variable that you have to control.
Yeah, you're not working near as much as trolling mode. I just thought I'd bring that up because I know you've had it, and it's been a good boat. And I seen Brandon pop up on here, and I know he just got one set up. And that's what made me think of it.
I've been in a lot of different boats, but I hadn't found one I like better than my old Ranger. Like I say, it's beat up. But it still goes to the lake every day. Still runs good. So
hey, you know, it's just like having it's got a new heartbeat in it as far as that motor. Hey, it'll go. You know.
Yep. It still runs good. It's this motor propped right. It's fairly fast for one of those old boats, and that's all. Not all I need. It's all I want. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, y'all can. You know, really, you could run any boat you wanted to. I mean, you know, you're you know, and you choose to keep running that, you know, that older Ranger. So I know John was hunting one. He finally found him one and getting it rigged up the way he likes it. So
yeah, he'll enjoy it for sure. You know, you may have to fight some electrical issues here and there, but you know, that's part of it.
Oh yeah, that's part of it, man. We ain't gonna go a full hour tonight because Patrick's nice enough to come on here, guys, and talk about some different stuff and just bring a different face. And I appreciate him coming on here and talking about.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Man. Like I said, Patrick Stone Fishing. You can follow him on Facebook, guys. Keep up with him. Hey, follow him, and you'll see all him posting them fish, man. You won't even have your coffee. You'll be sipping your coffee, and them boys will be done showed, and you're like, man, hold on just a second. I mean, it's funny, guys. It's they're going in. You know, I like to see it.
In the summer, that's for sure. That's my favorite time as far as guiding over here for limits is the summer. Hotter the better.
I know that's the truth. Y'all have always told me that.
Out of there, you know, we try to get out of there before it, you know, get limits and get out of there before it gets too hot. You know, and some days we don't, but we pop an umbrella up and stay in the shade if we have to. But day in, day out, as far as catching numbers, summer's my favorite. Summer into fall. It's just my style of fishing. I like to cast to them better, and I like that long rod.
Right, you're the same way I am. I do too.
I do one for about 6 months and the other for about 6 months. But if I had to choose one, it'd be the casting rod for sure.
Gotcha, man. I appreciate it. You stay on here when I end this thing, Patrick. I'll tell you, but I appreciate everybody tuning in, man. We had a big crowd on here tonight, and Patrick Stone Fishing on Facebook. Look him up on YouTube. Grenada Tackle Company. That is a tackle company he owns. You can look up their heads. They make minnow heads, football heads. Got a real good nickel-plated hook on them.
Yeah, they're all mustad hooks. They're good to go.
Yep. But appreciate you, Patrick. You hang out, and we'll see y'all next Thursday, 7 p.m. Appreciate it.
Hey.